Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to the new campaign trail. Now, last time we hopped in together, we hopped into the world of Red as a Mr. Sid McMath. We had a fair bit of fun there, I thought. Alongside the failed upstart senator from California, Miss Helen Douglas, we fought back against the incumbent Stas administration and pulled off an upset for the ages. Now, it's been a little while since I've uploaded last. Part of that's been work. Part of that's been a lack of activities. Part of that was a tree fell through my house, and I had to drop ship and leave everything here, including my desktop. Everything's fine now. Well, not fine. There's still the hole in my ceiling, but let's start off. Don't think I'm technically. I'm not. I don't know if I'm supposed to even be in here technically legally. I'm sure I am. I'm not staying here long term, but yeah, life kind of got in the way there. So, if you're wondering where I went, I have a reason this time. But I'm back, getting ready to go on vacation. And for the insurance adjuster to tell me, I'll tell my landlord when this will all be settled. But that's then. This is now. And we are hopping into the great world of 2004. Such a long time ago. I was the measly age of 3 at the time. And yeah, God, I feel old now. All those great memories at 3. Am I right? Anyway, this is a mod created by the man, the myth, the alleged furry, Astronomical, as well as Jimbo and Halligan Elysium helping out. We've played a 2004 mod before as with W, which was quite a fun mod. But I think it's time to. I figure it was about time to try out something new. This is actually relatively new. It's not a fresh drop. I don't have time to try out the fresh drops nowadays. But let's go ahead and hop in. The World 2004. George Bush's near victory in 2000 set him up for a troubled and unpopular tenure. The September 11th attacks on the U.S. rallied popular support around him, but with the country full engaged in the war on terror, confidence in his leadership has begun to slip. George Bush must emphasize foreign policy and call upon his evangelical base, all while defending his domestic record, while John Kerry must carefully balance foreign policy while hammering in Bush's domestic failures. Let's get started, huh? We're not going to be playing as W. We've done that a couple times at this point. Instead, we're hopping in as John Kerry. Senator John Kerry has long been seen as one of the natural frontrunners, but began to flounder in 2003. Took aggressive strategies, including mortgaging his house to revitalize his campaign and gain the momentum needed to win against Howard Dean and others. With the Democratic nomination having been locked up quickly, Kerry now pivots to the general election campaign. Kerry is regarded as having the upper hand on the economy and healthcare issues. His image as a war hero and three-time Purple Heart recipient is quite respected by voters. However, Bush clearly has the upper hand on foreign policy, and finding a good strategy to attack the president on the conflicts abroad will be tricky, especially with 9/11 still fresh in the minds of many voters. Well, let's hop in. Let's enable a Dragbull campaign HQ, why not? And you all know the drill by now. Let's hop in. Let's take a look at the starting map. It looks pretty narrow as of now. Bush has a lead in the popular vote. The main issues of the day are the economy, Iraq, moral values, the war on terror, and healthcare. So let's figure out what we are going to do. But first, let's take a step back. It's It's 2002, and you are John Kerry, esteemed senator from Massachusetts. Just under a year ago, America was attacked by a force of pure evil, but the Bush administration has taken steps that are peculiar, to say the least. Currently, a vote is being passed through the Senate for an authorization that would allow American troops to enter Iraq, a nation that may possess weapons of mass destruction. How will we go on voting on this bill? I'm not going to do the Boston accent. Or my close facsimile of it. I'll give it a shot. Well, I plan on voting yes. I've seen the intelligence reports, and I'm convinced. Saddam Hussein is a dangerous man, and we cannot have someone like that running around with weapons that could kill millions. You join ranks with 76 other senators in confirming the authorization. American troops enter the Middle Eastern nation as bullets and missiles rain down on Iraqi soldiers and civilians. The growing anti-war movement will remember your vote. We won't worry about that. Let's pop up the internets. So we have a little tracker here, which I can't pop up the issues. This is not hope, is it? We've been somewhat liberal during the campaign. We've had a rocky primary season ahead of a convention, and we vote in favor of the authorization of use of military force against Iraq. Let's move forward a while. You've recently announced a run for president, and the field right now is small. Excuse me. One of the biggest early issues in the Democratic primaries is the Bush record on the Iraq War, which has been criticized by many elements of the Democratic Party. What will you say about the Bush administration's record on the war? Well, there's quite a bit that I take issue with regarding our Iraq war policy. Rumsfeld's focus on blitzkrieg tactics of focusing on high-tech missile attacks and minimizing troops only serves to cause chaos. In the post-intervention landscape of Iraq, we need a larger troop presence to ensure a peaceful transition once the war is over. The use of the term of blitzkrieg makes the news and causes small controversy on your end. However, this could be good in the long term. I'm sure the aftermath of the Iraq war turns sour, though promising troop increase is not popular among young voters. Well, what do they know? It's not like they're fighting the wars. Wait, shit, never mind. Let's go to Tennessee. Ignore what I just said. Democratic primaries continue to grow, while the field is ballooned with multiple candidates. The emergence of General Wesley Clark, Mr. Icarus himself, and Governor Howard Dean. I was about to say John, I don't know. Carving out dedicated anti-war bases for themselves serves as the biggest threats to our chances. How do we want to deal with the entry of these two major players? Well, out of the two, I would probably pick Howard Dean. Why? Well, Dean's been a lifelong Democrat, while Clark only switched over a couple of years ago. He was even friends with President Bush not too long ago. You and Clark into various barbs over the next few weeks about his past as a Republican, and things get quite heated at certain points. However, when all said is done, his reputation is damaged, and you walked away stronger. There we go. Well, our convention is picking up a little bit. Recently, a leak of over 48,000 documents from Iraq has produced evidence that positively concludes that Saddam Hussein had no plans of restarting or possessing weapons of mass destruction. Furthermore, many are calling it a false flag that the Bush administration used to falsify a justification to enter Iraq. What do you make of these new revelations? Well, while Saddam Hussein is a threat and he most likely intended to restart nuclear weapons programs, the evidence of a current WMD program was overblown. Instead, we should be spending our time focusing on hunting down elements of Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. It's a bit more New York than Boston, but I started. I'm going to finish it. Your response goes against what many of the documents are saying, but promising to focus on bin Laden is popular among many Americans. Well, there we go. Let's head over to Tennessee to double down on that point. It's October 2003, and appropriations law that would give vital supplies and support to troops in Iraq is making its way through the Senate, and you are expected to vote on it. It is best to stay consistent on our beliefs, but how will you vote on it? Well, we need to support our troops in Iraq. Allowing them in this primary would allow for more aid and assistance for our soldiers fighting there. Besides, it might help me with hawkish voters in the primary. While the troops are grateful, progressives and anti-war voters are not. This vote may lead to repercussions down the line for your frontrunner status. well, we've given a sharp critique of the handling. We vote in favor of the emergencies supplemental appropriations for Iraq and Afghanistan and Security and Reconstruction Act. Well, there we go. Are we doing any better? We flipped over a state. I don't know about which state. One that was about 6 EVs. Not Iowa. Nevada? No, that's still 5. It doesn't matter. The Iowa caucuses have arrived, and with them comes a large, varied field of challengers. You've managed to cling on to a front-runner spot with John Edwards in the background, recent surges from Dean and Clark camps. Clear your spot at the top cheese. As the top cheese hangs on the balance, what would you like to focus on? Well, this Edwards guy from North Carolina is a front runner-up right now, and he seems to be gaining. I think we should spend some time going after him to widen the polling gaps between our two candidacies. It was the obvious choice here, and your strong attacks on him knock him down a peg. Let's see how the Iowa caucus plays out. Congratulations, Senator Kerry. You have won the Iowa caucuses. It seems your front-runner status and broad support were just too much for your primary opponent to tackle, even as Edwards finishes with a strong second place. What do you have to say about this momentous occasion, I think they mean, for you and your campaign? As I've said in New Hampshire and here, I'm a fighter. I will take our fight all the way to George Bush and all the way to the White House. With your win here, your nomination secured, and despite attempts from Edwards or Clark to fight it further, you're pretty much the nominee. Funnily enough, a peculiar scream from Howard Dean following these results has become the source of mockery on late-night television, further snuffing his chances. Well, there we go. So we have choices of running mates. We have John Edwards. We have Wesley Clark. We have Dick Gephardt. Haha. Get it? Gephardt. And we also have John McCain, which I like how it points out alternate history, as if selecting any of these other candidates would not be alternate history. I don't know if that was really needed or clarified, or need to be clarified. But you know what? Why not? Kerry's made numerous overtures to John McCain to run a bipartisan unity ticket, offers which McCain is hesitant to accept, yet also hesitant to deny requests from a personal friend. McCain commands a high degree of popularity that self-described independent voters. And McCain has his own strong biography of service and sacrifice in Vietnam that pairs well with Kerry's. Getting and, of course, keeping McCain on the ticket will be a monumental struggle. McCain will only join if issues arise with Bush, and if McCain can be convinced that he and Kerry can work out their political disagreements. Well, let's see if we can't give it a shot. Well, if your 2 votes for the Iraq War, the anti-war left is fed up with lack of an anti-war champion, but they've just found in now independent Rhode Island Senator Lincoln Chafee, with talk show host Gary Nolan as his running mate. The news of his new entry has merely shifted the political landscape, as despite the staunch anti-war nature of the ticket, Chafee has some moderate bona fides that could harm Bush. What do you have to say about Chafee? Excuse me. Well, there's no reason to address this bid, really. You don't address the parties in a 2-party system. Fair enough, but Chafee's building momentum with anti-war directors and activists. Well, let's head into Tennessee. Shockingly, you've just announced that Republican Senator John McCain, who agreed after months of negotiations and discussions, shall be your running mate. What do you have to say about him in terms of his selection? We will not allow Bush's failures in foreign policy to go unpunished. John and I are experienced diplomats, and together we will cast out the Bush administration and bring a sensible approach to foreign affairs from this point on. Choosing McCain is a game changer and allows you to cut deep into the Bush's traditional base. Although be careful not to tack too far to the right, lest you cause the rise of a dedicated left-wing splinter candidacy. Well, we've been a little liberal. We've had a decent primary. We're doing all right. Here we are, Senator. The convention at the Fleet Center in Boston. The crowd roars for you. And as the last few speakers finish up, it is game time for you. As you walk up to the podium, you smile emphatically. What will be your convention speech to address the delegates at the 2004 DNC? Well, I would actually like to focus on myself in my acceptance speech. I will tell about my service in Vietnam, the Free Purple Hearts, and my service to Massachusetts. I'm John Kerry, and I'm reporting for duty. Getting people to know you is a good strategy, although some pundits wonder if you should keep this up in the general, especially as Bush ramps up his attacks on your record. Let's go to 10 IC. As you start the general election against Bush following your nomination, the thing that most of your advisors have been talking to you about is the strategy you would like to focus on against Bush. Will you take the high road or hammer him on his failures? Well, I think a balance of both is the best strategy. Obviously, we should be respectful when we can, but on the issues that matter, we won't hold back. The balancing act is the best course of action, and you look both decisive yet respectful in the following when talking about Bush. Beautiful. How are we doing EV-wise? 336 to 202. Very nice. We're picking up almost ahead in Iowa, ahead in Colorado, ahead in Nevada. We've been getting there in Virginia. If I'm not mistaken, the big swing states at this time were Ohio, obviously, Florida, also obviously, Missouri, Iowa, Colorado, and Nevada. Arizona is also becoming a fair bit competitive. I'm not sure about the status of the Deep South here. New Hampshire as well. Though I think Kerry helped lock it down with his more moderate stances, so we'll see. Recently, a group of Vietnam War veterans called the Swift Boat Veterans of Truth has called into question your service in Vietnam, claiming that your record is exaggerated and that you didn't deserve your Purple Hearts. It's a crude attack, but one that can damage your reputation. What will you do? These are a load of lies. My service in Vietnam was difficult, but I won't change a thing about it. I will call my band of brothers to help me dispel these attacks from those seeking selfish gain. This is the expected response to such claims. Your advisors are grateful that you're willing to stand up to the Republicans like this. Well, there we go. Let's head over to Tennessee. How are we doing on the internets? Not bad. No Child Left Behind was an education package passed by President Bush in 2001 that was designed to standardize national tests and give schools nationwide funding. However, controversies have arisen following substantially lower funding be given out than what was promised. What did you think about the whole thing? Well, I don't support No Child Left Behind in its current form. Standardized tests are hampering our children's ability to learn, and the lack of funding allotted to schools was a major blunder on Bush's part. Your strong stance against it reinforces your liberal credentials and gets the base pumped up. However, you did vote for it and called it the linchpin for improving school systems. We don't need to talk about that. Gas has arisen in the Bush campaign as new documents detail now President Bush received special treatment and dodged orders during his service in the military. This is a serious accusation, but some of your advisors have warned against diving in this early. Will you attack him on this? Let's hold off. These are unverified claims, and going into this gun blazing could backfire should they be proven wrong. Let's hold our tongues on this. This turned out to be a smart decision. Soon enough, Dan Rather is packing his bags, and the entire thing was proven false. You avoided major controversy by not adding to this. Well, there we go. Doing well in Tennessee. I think I might spare a visit to North Carolina. See if we can't spare its momentum there. Over the last 3 years, the Bush administration has prioritized a war on terror in its foreign policy, focusing on rooting out terrorists and stabilizing Middle Eastern nations in response to 9/11. However, the recent endeavor into Iraq has caused many to scratch their heads about its overall goals. What are your thoughts on the war on terror? Well, there's some pretty big, serious issues with the war on terror following 9/11, and there need to be a strong response to those responsible for the attack, but right now our focus seems to be less on bin Laden and more on Iraq. This should help you win back some disgruntled leftists, but you also risk sticking your neck too far from the pro-war moderates you need to win. Well, passed in the early 90s, the NAFTA trade agreement that opened up further trade with Canada and Mexico has been praised by free trade advocates while scorned by Midwestern protectionists. What are your thoughts on the agreement? Well, I'm not running away from NAFTA, and I believe it's done some good for our nation's economy, but some tenets could have been renegotiated. This has more or less been your stance for the past year, and it doesn't hurt if you're looking to win some of the South and Southwest. It's not helping that much in North Carolina, though. Go back to Tennessee. Here you stand for the first set of presidential debates between you and George Bush. As it stands, you seem to go into the debate slightly favored to win. What will you emphasize first thing? I will talk extensively about Bush's failures while in office so far. I will repeatedly go after his failures in education, foreign policy, economics, and on social issues. I will also emphasize my own liberal ideas for fixing it all. Your heavy-handed, aggressive approach caught Bush off guard, and while it allowed you to take victory on the debate stage, conservative pundits called you unnecessarily rude. Funny that, huh? You've long held liberal views on social matters, including on the contentious issue of gay marriage. Recently, with new rulings from the Supreme Court, the salient issue of whether or not homosexuals can enter a civil union has been brought to the center of issues again. Have you changed your stance on it? No, I believe gay people should have the right to a civil union, but them being able to marry is a little much, and I think not everyone is ready for that yet. This is what you ran on in the primaries, and while social progressives were hoping for a little bit more, they'll just have to bite their tongues for a few more years. There we go, we're picking up in the South. Just want to see if we can't swing into West Virginia quickly, see if we can't lock that down. Over the campaign, your running mate, John McCain, has been concerned with the language you're using in your campaign, initially agreeing to be your running mate due to an understanding that it would be a centrist foreign policy-focused campaign. You've consistently stuck to liberal talking points. What can you say that would assuage McCain's feelings? Well, as I've said before, this campaign transcends national politics. It is meant to be above the petty political games we play on Capitol Hill. I will tell McCain that I will focus solely on foreign policy while he can play offense on domestic matters. John leaves the meeting happy, but over the next few weeks, your campaign receives fire for its remarkable shift to the right under John's takeover of domestic issues. Oh yeah, serious fire. Sure. Following your successes in the first debate and second town hall-style debates, your campaign staff worried that a much more prepared Bush could knock your momentum out, allow him to regain the lead after all this time. Will you attend the third and final debate with George W. Bush? Nonsense. We have the momentum going into this. I want to really take the time to pick apart Bush's plans for Iraq. Right now, we've toppled Saddam, and we're currently nation building. How much longer are we going to be in Iraq and Afghanistan? You seem just as sharp as he did in the first two debates, but a much more prepared Bush shut down many of your attacks. Pundits seem to think you held a narrow edge over Bush, though. Well, there we go. We're doing remarkably well. Let me reinforce North Carolina. More and more discussion over the place of firearms in American society has continued to bubble as gun deaths rise every year. You've held some pretty liberal stances on gun control, despite being a gun owner yourself. Where do you stand on the issue? President Bush and the Republicans' failure to consider extending an assault weapons ban shows that they are not serious about tackling the issue of gun control in this country. As a present extension to this measure would absolutely be on the table. Progressives cheer on every word of yours, while all the while, Wayne LaPierre writes 1,000 more checks to Bush and Cheney. And not as enthused. Kind of deflated some people in the South there, but what are you going to do? As the campaign begins to wrap up, party leadership has urged you to go on the offensive regarding the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was a safety law passed shortly after 9/11 and allowed the government to further surveil society to ensure terrorists would have a tougher time, but freedom activists have decried some of the almost draconian measures that the act allows the government to do. Where do you stand on the issue's thin line? Well, Look, the Patriot Act is honorable in intention, but potentially dangerous if left unchecked. I've long supported an amendment that would protect civil liberties, and I've also supported smarter, multilateral anti-terrorist countermeasures as opposed to Bush administrations. The difference is clear here, folks. It's a bit of a non-answer, but it does outline where you and Bush differ on the act, even if you support the basic core tenets of it. Ah, crap. Try Louisiana. Everyone remembers 2000 and the absolute chaos that the recounts caused. While both campaigns prepared to avoid that ending costs, would you be willing to set aside a large amount of money for any potential legal troubles or recounts in states that might be close? We wouldn't need the money for recounts if we won the state convincingly. A repeat of 2000 won't happen, and a swing through the close states should make sure of this. You're blowing off your advisors, and the Democratic Party won't be too happy, but never calamitous election that happens, whether you get the short end of a stick. Well, we're doing pretty well. 405 electoral votes. I like that. On the verge of Election Day, news broadcaster Al Jazeera has just broadcast clips from a live stream filmed by Osama bin Laden, the man behind the 9/11 attacks 4 years ago. To say the man is hated would be an understatement. What do you have to say in response to these obvious attempted fear-mongering? Well, 4 years ago, the most shocking, upsetting tragedy in the history of our country occurred. Almost 3,000 people perished in the attack. And the ringmaster behind it now sits in an unknown place taunting us. We joined together in finding this man and eliminating him. Both you and Bush gave out strong statements reforming the hunt for bin Laden. Unfortunately, though, Bush seems to have received a rally around the flag effect because of the broadcast, which hurts us going into the election day. Ah, crap. Tennessee. Okay, we're back ahead now, though. It's not too bad. Well, here we are, Senator Kerry, the election day. The Bush campaign is convinced that wins in Florida. That was my phone. I just knocked over. That wins in Ohio, Florida, and perhaps Pennsylvania would seal the deal for their victories. Nevertheless, is there any place you would like to visit before traveling back home and settling in for the election night viewing? Well, Gore lost because he failed to turn out the Clinton coalition. We can change that. I want a large sweep through the South this year. A final giant rally with former President Clinton in Arkansas to end things off. I am committed to winning the South. Ending things off in the South is a huge gamble, but if you played your cards right, it could lead to a huge payoff. Everywhere you go, you meet huge energetic crowds in support of you. Good luck, Senator Kerry. Well, here we go. I didn't look at the final internet tally. That's my bad. Well, Virginia and Vermont are in. We got good margins there. Kentucky, pretty close. Far closer than you'd expect nowadays. So I'm optimistic. Mass came in, of course, for us. Rhode Island as well. South Carolina, about 4 points off. Not bad. Oklahoma, over 20. Not shocked there. Virginia and Pennsylvania came in, which is good to see. Missouri coming in our favor. That's good. 2 big swing states off the bat. I'm looking quite. Ohio we got by about 3 points. Well, 2.5. Not bad. Wisconsin we got. Florida we got pretty narrowly, but we still got it. We have this. We've won. We got Arkansas. We lost Tennessee though. Ah well. Got a little too cocky. I think if I put all my visits into Tennessee, it would probably be fine. Let's see if it paid off in any of these 3 states so to balance it out. We got the West Coast. No Alaska. I'm not shocked there, but yeah. Very close in these remaining states. Ooh. We won none of the southern states. West Virginia, though? We got West Virginia. Beautiful. Well, that's it. We've won 370 to 168. Not a bad map at all. And here we go. We are the captains of our own fate. Excuse me. A win is a win. For as controversial as running with McCain was, you've not just beaten George Bush with him, you've beaten him relatively decisively. The ability to turn Bush's command of the war on its head with a defection was a masterstroke. For all ideological purists on your left will complain, they'll be damn happy when someone else has a seat. For once over these past few years, it feels like the pain that liberals went through with Florida in 2000 was for something in the end, even if the end result isn't super satisfying. Bush's concession calls it brief and reserved, likely unwilling to give McCain the satisfaction of revealing anything behind his chirpy cowboy facade. You're not a sadist. You don't especially mind that he's taking defeat with grace, especially as he tells his supporters to stand down and promises to help with the transition. The down-ballot races aren't as satisfying, producing a 50-50 Senate and a narrow Republican control of the House. But with the McCain advising you on how to handle the GOP, you'll think you'll be able to handle it, especially as folks like Olympia Snowe and Arlen Specter seem to be willing to work with you on certain matters. You finish your victory speech and let McCain do his speech, content that America will move past the Bush years. Best of luck over the next few years. It'll be tough, but you can definitely do this. Well, here we go. Borat. Cultural learnings of America for make good benefit. Glorious nation of Kazakhstan. IMDb.com. 10 out of 10. Appalling. This film was art. It was gut-splitting humor as well, but it was relaying a critical message. It's a piece of work that reflects our culture's place in time, politically and socially. If you want a mindless laugh, watch an Adam Sandler film. They're always sympathetic to the viewer and never evoke too much thought about ourselves. Coen manages to create genuine laugh-out moments. Yes, they're often at the expense of others, but so what? No one was harmed during the making of the movie, and if they didn't want to be involved, they didn't have to sign the release forms. But beyond the laughter, Coen does hit a political nerve, whether you like it or not. The footage of a Texan talking about gay Arabs is both humorous and extremely alarming. As is the conversation between three frat boys, who clearly have the social intelligence of a 2-year-old combined. It's a stark realization to see the backwards world we are still living in. Wonderful movie. You laugh until you cry. A perfect portrayal of American culture. 1 out of 10. Don't waste your time or money. I'm guessing this is a Breaking Bad fanboy who's trying to review bomb this. During the movie, Borat asks what is appropriate and funny here in America. I think we must ask the same question. Is seeing Borat show off a family photo of his teenage son's penis really funny? Or his advice to the town rapist about sticking to humans only really merit a laugh? The audience left the theater dismayed. I highly don't recommend this movie. Don't waste your time, money, or energy on this one. Yeah, that's definitely Breaking Bad fanboy. Freaking out. Well. Oh, look at that. It's Campaign Trails show. Whoa. Oh. 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 Look at the flick of the wrist. Look at the flick of the wrist. Anyway. George Bush's narrow victory in 2000 set him up for a troubled and unpopular tenure. The September 11th attacks on the U.S. rallied popular support around him with multiple failures abroad. Confidence in his leadership has collapsed, and he trails John F. Kerry. What's Kerry's middle name again? John Ford. Yeah, John. Yeah, it's JFK. Look at that. John Kerry has the advantage on both domestic and foreign policy. Still, his unorthodox behavior and appeal to Republicans leaves him vulnerable from all sides. George Bush begins as the underdog and must shake things up if he wants a chance to pull off an upset. This scenario was made by Astronomical 3005. Original codes can be found on my website, which were deemed too biased against Bush. Come on, load. Astro, your mod's broken. What the fuck? Alright, never mind. Fuck this. Let's take another look at this glorious map. Got West Virginia. Almost got North Carolina. Might have been better to split our visits between North Carolina and Louisiana. And West Virginia a little bit too. As nice as avenging the memory of Al Gore would have been. What are you going to do? Closest states. Oh, look at that. 1,000 votes divided us in West Virginia. Not even that. 900 North Carolina. That's about 15,000, I'll say. I don't want to do the math. 9,000 in Louisiana. Arizona, about 9,000 as well. And Tennessee, about 30,000, probably. Of our detailed results. Yeah, there's the real life results. And there we go. Here are all the sources you can check out. Now, thank you, Astro, for letting me play this one. And, yeah. Well, I think I'll pass on playing the mod again, but thank you, Astro. Alright, that's been it for now, my friends. I thank you all for watching, as always. If you like this video, like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you have comments or feedback down in the comment section below, go and leave it. I read all the comments again, and I do appreciate any of you might have for me. Want to keep up to date with these uploads as they come out, hit the sub button and the notification bell. And, yeah. Check out my various links down in the description box below. I'm not doing too much with them nowadays, but if you want to check them out, I won't stop you. And yeah, that's going to be it for now, my friends. I thank you all for watching. My name has been Mr. Dogbot333. I thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye now.